So a group of coders got together and decided to open a business. Now, if you know the story of Net Florist, you will know the founder of that business decided that he needed to prove that you could sell fresh things on the internet, and Net Florist was born as a result of that. He was an accountant. He had absolutely no training in retail or anything like that. Did you guys, when you started out in 2006, actually have a clue what you were wanting to do? Because you were building websites, you were doing coding at that time before coding was a thing.
Yeah, so we were doing websites and online marketing and building business systems for other people, and we wanted to stop selling our time. We wanted to sell a product. So we wanted to wake up on a Monday morning and look in the bank account and see some money for something that we had sold. And so that's where e-commerce got us. We knew nothing about retail, and we started a few businesses before we settled on Yuppiechef, and we knew very little about kitchen, although Shane, the other founder, is a closet foodie and a bit of a sort of amateur chef. And we got into this, and we got into it in a time where I think being in South Africa in 2006, there was little competition. And that's where we're perhaps a small market, but we're also a market that has opportunities because not every corner and niche has been discovered yet.
And so what were the other businesses? I mean, where did you cut your teeth?
We can see
before
how
you broke into this idea.
See how I glossed over that very quickly.
You did, actually.
So our very first online business was the bug zappers, so a racket that swatted flies and mosquitoes. And we got together for 3 days to put together a business that sold something online, and that's the product that we chose.
Why?
Because
it's kind of cool and fun, yes, but how many of those blooming things can you sell?
We sold 10,000. We sold over R1 million worth of bug zappers online at a time when everyone was saying you can't sell it online. But the thing with bug zappers, and then we sold country flags and flag poles, and we sold rat zappers, which was a similar sort of idea, was something that you couldn't find in a physical store. If I said to you, where can you buy a Norwegian flag? I don't know. So it might be the type of thing that you Google. So certainly in the 2000s, online shopping was for things that you didn't know where else to buy, and that's what got us going. And so we looked for brands, we looked for products that people knew about. They didn't quite know where to buy that exact thing. Where do you buy a Japanese-made global knife? I don't know. So let me try and Google it.
What was the epiphany? What was the, you know what, guys? Enough bug zappers and rat zappers and flags. We need to be a little bit more focused and actually get a broad range of products that we can put onto this wonderful new invention called the internet.
Well, we went to a chef friend of ours and said, what products do chefs use that ordinary people don't use? Because maybe we can sort of bring some of those into the domestic market. And she said, well, chefs use what everyone else uses, except there's these tongs, and they've got non-stick ends, so you can use them in non-stick pans. And if you could sell those, I would buy them. And we looked at these tongs, and they were QZ Pro, which is a brand that we knew was available in South Africa, but just not available in most physical retailers. And so I think that was the epiphany, that there's brands and there's products that people are wanting, but in physical retail there's only so much shelf space, and there's probably opportunities that lie just outside of that little guys like us can get into.
How did you fund it at the start? I mean, where did the money come from? Did you typically bootstrap it? Was there a rich uncle?
It was extreme bootstrapping. It was Shane and I from my lounge, and we listed everything online, and when we made a sale, we'd go to the supplier and say, can we have one of those? And it was at a time when if you said it's going to get to you in 10 days, customers were delighted if it got there at all. And so it was funded by just cash flow from our customers, and where online allows you to sell products before you've bought them. And that's where it got off the ground. We also kept our day jobs, so to speak. You know, we kept working for other clients. It was 5 years that Shane and I worked for Yuppiechef before our salaries came from Yuppiechef. So that was an opportunity. We didn't sell our houses and quit our jobs and hire 50 people. We were fortunate that we could start at a time where growing slowly was okay because there were no other competitors. We were fortunate to start a business that wasn't very capital intensive. We could do a lot of the expensive work ourselves from the skills that we had. And so I imagine if you're going to start a farm, you can't use the same method of let's just bootstrap it. But I think wherever possible, that's definitely the advice that I'd give, would be to take as long as you can doing it yourself before the waters get muddied with outside investors.
What value of stock are you carrying at any one time? And if this is one store with 1/10 of the range of products that you sell online, you're carrying hundreds, potentially, of millions of rands worth of stock. It's all expensive stuff. A lot of it is imported. A lot of it's electronics. A lot of it's, you're carrying big stock. How do you fund that?
Well, we are carrying a lot of stock, but I think relatively speaking, the advantage with online is that if there are 30 colors of KitchenAid mixer, even if we hold one of each in our warehouse to be able to service the entire country. So if anyone wants that pink mixer, we can send it to them, they'll get it to tomorrow, and then we order another one from the supplier. So we do hold a large amount of stock, but we're able to we're able to supply the whole country from one location, which is an advantage, and we're able to replenish all of our stores from a central location. So we do daily replenishments to these stores, so the stock turn can actually be very high within it. So I think that model allows us to operate quite efficiently.
Have you ever had outside funding? Have you ever gone to people and said, Dragon's Den style, and said you can have 10% of the business for X amount of money because we're the guys who are going to change the world?
Yeah, we did take some funding a couple of years ago, actually from an international hedge fund who put some money in. And I think it was at the time when it got to you can't have an order get into a customer 10 days later, that when we actually had to start holding stock, building out our warehousing and hiring people before we necessarily could afford to have them. When it goes beyond the two founders, sometimes you do need outside capital. But I think we're fortunate to delay that long enough that we're in a good position when that time comes.
And in an economy that is moribund, an economy that doesn't want to grow, where people are cutting back, household budgets are being cut all the time, you operate in a luxury space where people previously may have been willing to come in and spend 2,000 Rand, they're coming in and spending 1,000 Rand. You would see cheapskates getting cheaper. Wedding gifts lists suddenly become a little less demanding. You must be seeing those trends.
Well, I think so, but I mean, I think as you know, trying to get into this interview today, there was a lot of people, there's a lot of traffic, that even if an economy slows, it is still an economy that has a lot of people spending a lot of money. And we've just got to figure out how we can win a portion of that spend, and by providing something different, by providing a better service or a better range, and that wins some of that over.
How big can you get? I mean, you're at 7 physical stores now, the internet is endless, you can flex that as much as you want to or need to. Physically in South Africa, looking at the demographics of the country, and you're already in position, I think you're in Fourways Mall, you're in Sandton City, you're at the waterfront in Cape Town, you're still at Willowbridge where you started out, the Somerset Mall, your store at the headquarters in Westlake, and another one. You've got these stores in really good high-income areas. How big is the market? Is it sort of like a Tasha's sort of market? Tasha's sort of peaked at 25, 30 restaurants? Is that the model?
Well, we've only got Sandton and Mall of Africa in the whole of Gauteng, so that's obviously a huge growth opportunity for us. And then there's other provinces and other cities. So there's a lot of opportunity to expand the physical footprint. And as you said, our online business can reach the rest of the country. So for us, I think we're growing relatively fast, considering where 2 years ago we had no stores and now we grew 7. But I think we'll just make sure that we grow cautiously enough in this market that we don't overextend and get into trouble. But there's a long runway ahead.
Which is easier? Physical stores, internet?
They both have their challenges, but when we first started selling in a physical store and a customer came in and they picked up a product on the shelf and they handed over their cash and they left, we all looked at it and thought, wow, that seems incredibly easy. You know, online, we have to have the right picture and the right copy and convince you to buy it. And then you have to grapple with doing the payment and your delivery address. And then we can't find you. And then when you do eventually get it, it's the wrong size or the wrong color. Now you need to get it back. And so there's a lot of complexities in getting online retail right, where I think physical retail, there's just a lot of good skills. There's a lot of people. We can hire people to work in our stores or help build our stores who've been doing this for 20 years. And that's been a really, really great thing to see, how much talent there is in the South African retail market.
Delivery, the last mile, is the big challenge that everybody grapples with. Takealot has solved that problem by having big distribution centers. You order online, then you go to a shop to pick it up. You mentioned the positive that some of your customers do that. Getting the widget, whether it be this bowl over here, hopefully I don't drop it, this bowl, if I order this online, to me unbroken within a reasonable period of time, is quite a hard thing to do. You can't drop it on my patio as you might do in Louisiana.
Yeah, so it is a challenge, and I think that and South Africans, we live inside gated communities. We work in office blocks that are starting to become a bit more reticent to have their front desk being filled up with online packages. So you are seeing a lot more click and collect type of things. So you can obviously order online and collect from one of our stores or any of the postnets. I think there's 150 postnets that you can use as a collection point. So you are seeing South Africans, and Takealot has done a similar collection point idea, who say, I want the convenience of shopping online, but I know that I'll be able to drive past such and such a place and pick it up in my own terms, and I'll be there. So I think we are seeing a bit of a hybrid model. There's still a lot of delivering to the end customer at their door, and there's going to be this sort of middle ground, which is a click and collect. We do half the work, you do half the work, and it works for both parties. September
was reportedly one of the worst months in years for retail in South Africa. I'm sure you would have followed that trend as well. Do you see hope? Do you see the fact that there is a bit of fizzle happening in our economy or not?
Well, I mean, I go back to the idea that you do see activity. You see people driving in cars to malls and shopping, and so I can't really comment on the broader South African picture, but I can see people making sales, and I think there's still opportunities in a market like this.
Are you growing year on year?
Yeah, we're growing significantly, and so I think it is in difficult conditions. If you really know what makes you different, and you know why customers are going to shop from you, in a harsh environment, the competitors are going to fall away, and we see that potentially as a positive rather than just being a negative.
Andrew Smith, thank you very much indeed. One of the co-founders of Yuppiechef.com. Now it's Yuppiechef.mall as well. 7 malls and counting, a rapidly growing business franchise in South Africa in an environment where so many people are clamping down and shutting down and are reducing the size of their space. Innovators, people who are seeing gaps in markets, are using the downturn as an opportunity to grow. The story of Yuppiechef here on ENCA. Thank you for watching Taking Stock. Until next time, bye-bye.